Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Johan and I'm a typical Dutchman. And I react to videos about life and living in the United States or over here in Europe and about whatever it could be, strange things that happened or viral videos or something really with nature or whatever. We're going to take a look at it and we're going to react to it. And if you have reactions too, or if you have videos too, I should react to, let me know. And for today, we're going to take a look at this video that caught my eye, as in America finding out other languages exist. Like, what? And this was not the first that I saw, because this is the first second of the video, but I saw another one. Okay, and this is from Amsterdam, I see. So I'm curious what this is all about. Let's hope it's some funny stuff. Yeah, okay, let's start.
Amsterdam. And last week, a woman asked me when Dutch people learned English, not as a second language, but like when we switched over from Dutch. She genuinely thought we all just practice English at home now and speak Dutch for the tourists. Want to know what happened when I told her we're actually bilingual? I need you to understand something. My job is literally impossible. I'm a tour guide in Amsterdam.
I'm a tour guide, and last week a woman asked me when Dutch people learned English, not as a second language, but like when we switched over from Dutch. She generally thought we just practice English at home now and speak Dutch for the tourist. Okay. Okay, I was thinking about what is it, but she thought that we usually speak English all around, and just for the tourist industry, we switched to our mother language, Netherlands. Yeah, that's not how it works. And she was surprised, I guess, that we are bilingual. Yeah, we talk both languages. I speak even three. So
Told her we're actually bilingual. I need you to understand something. My job is literally impossible. I'm a tour guide in Amsterdam, which means I spend 8 hours a day explaining to Americans why Europe exists. And I don't mean historically, I mean currently, right now, why it's still here, why we haven't changed everything to match what they're used to back home. Last Tuesday, a woman asked me where the English version of the Rijksmuseum is. Not the English tour, not the English audio guide, the English museum. She wanted to know which building had all the paintings with English subtitles underneath them. I stood there for a full 10 seconds, trying to figure out if she was joking.
Imagine.
She wasn't joking.
She wasn't.
She thought we kept a second museum out back, like a backup copy, but in English this time. When I told her this was the only museum and the descriptions were in Dutch because we're in the Netherlands, she looked at me like I just told her the sky was actually green and everyone had been lying to her whole life. That was Tuesday.
And that was Tuesday, just a regular Tuesday. Okay, on Wednesday, a man got angry because...
On Wednesday, a man got angry because the ATM asked him a question in Dutch first. On Thursday, a family tried to send back their food at a restaurant because the menu had words they couldn't read. They thought the chef had made a mistake. On Friday, someone asked me if Dutch was a made-up language for tourism. Like we hired actors to walk around speaking gibberish to make Amsterdam feel more authentic. Like it's Disneyland, but for languages. You know, like...
No, this cannot be. Oh, damn. And this is, what, a video of 25 minutes? Oh, these kind of anecdotes. Oh, this cannot be. Come on.
How some theme parks create fake languages to make things feel more authentic. I've been doing this job for 3 years now. 3 full years of walking backwards through cobblestone streets while groups of tourists follow me and ask questions that make me question everything I thought I knew about human communication. And here's what I figured out. Americans don't think other languages are real. They think
Okay.
languages are like computer errors, a glitch in the system, something that needs to be fixed or reset back to English. They'll see a word like Gezelligheid on a poster
Gezelligheid. I generally
and
believe
genuinely believe someone made a typing mistake, and then everyone else just went along with it because they were too polite to say anything.
a typo, making a typing mistake. Uh, yeah, okay.
I watched a man take a photo of a Dutch street sign last week so he could report it to someone. Report it. Like there's a European Department of Fixing Wrong Letters that he could contact. I'm about to show you what happens when an entire nation discovers, in real time, that other languages aren't just English spoken badly. That Dutch isn't just people trying really hard to speak English, but getting confused halfway through. That maybe, just maybe, we've been speaking this language for hundreds of years, and we actually like it this way.
Yeah, we do.
I've got stories that will make you wonder how these people get through airport security. Stories about tourists who thought bilingual meant you could speak English and also understand English when it's spoken slowly. Stories about a man who tried to correct my pronunciation of my own language, in my own country, while standing on my street. But here's the thing. I don't tell you these stories to be mean. I'm not up here trying to make fun of Americans.
Oh no.
Honestly, I think it's kind of beautiful in a weird way. Imagine going through your whole life thinking your language is just called talking, not English, just talking.
Oh,
And
okay.
everyone else in the world is just talking wrong. Every single person who doesn't sound like you has somehow messed up this basic human function. That must be so confusing when you finally leave your country and realize that no, actually, those aren't mistakes. Those are words.
Words.
Real words that real people use to buy groceries and tell jokes and argue with their families and fall in love. Words that make perfect sense to millions of people who somehow get through their entire lives without ever speaking English. I had a guy last month who stood in front of a Dutch bakery for 5 full minutes, trying to understand why all the signs were spelled wrong. 5 minutes. Just staring at words like stroopwafel and appelgebak like they were ancient hieroglyphics that someone had spray painted on the window as a prank. When I told him those were the actual names of the food, he asked me who decided that. Who sat down and decided to call it that instead of just using the normal words?
Yeah.
The
Yeah, okay.
normal words.
Oh, 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 oh. This is. Oh. How can we react to this? This is hilarious. It's
As if English owns the concept of normal. As if the entire world is supposed to operate in English and anything else is just people being difficult on purpose. And just wait until you hear about the guy who tried to correct my Dutch. That story alone made me consider early retirement. I was 28 years old and ready to quit my job because of one conversation that lasted 90 seconds.
try to correct my Dutch. Okay.
But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me start with the easier stories first. The ones that are funny, instead of making you want to lie down on the ground and stare at the sky for a while. Let me tell you about the menu incident. First week on the job, I'm still excited about everything, still think this is going to be the best job in the world. I've got an American couple on a walking tour and we stop at this little cafe near the canal. It's one of those perfect Amsterdam spots with the tiny tables outside and the bikes leaning against the brick wall and the smell of fresh coffee mixing with the canal water. The couple
The stench of the canal water.
sits down and I tell them I'll be back in 20 minutes. They pick up the menus. 10 minutes pass. I'm standing nearby answering questions from another group. I glance over and this couple is still staring at their menus. Not reading them, staring at them. Like the menus are optical illusions that might make sense if they just look hard enough. The woman keeps tilting her head to different angles. The man is holding his menu up to the sunlight, like maybe the real English words will appear if he finds the right lighting. Finally, the woman raises her hand, not to get the waiter's attention, to get my attention. Like I'm her teacher and she needs help with a test question. I walk over and she says, "Excuse me, I think there's been a mistake." I ask her what's wrong. She points at the menu and says, "Yeah, this menu is broken." The
Menu is
words are all
broken.
scrambled. Like someone dropped a box of alphabet letters and just wrote down whatever order they landed in. I look at the menu. It's perfectly normal. It says uitsmijter and tosti and erwtensoep.
Okay, uitsmijter, tosti, and echte soep. The one who's making this video is, I guess, not Dutch either, or he is doing it on purpose that it sounds like English. Uitsmijter, tosti, and echte soep. Yeah, regular Dutch words.
Regular Dutch words that make perfect sense if you speak Dutch. I tell her, "That's Dutchman." She blinks at me 3 times real slow. Then she says, "Right. But when does the real menu come out?" She thinks this is like a wine list or something. Like they bring you the practice menu first and then the actual menu shows up later once you've proven you're serious about eating. I explain to her that this is the real menu. This is the only menu. Her husband leans forward and says, "Okay, but surely you have something normal, something regular that normal people eat." I'm standing there trying to figure out how to explain that Dutch food is normal to Dutch people, that we
Mhm.
eat it every single day and nobody here thinks it's weird or broken or scrambled. I point at the menu and start translating. Cheese sandwich, ham and eggs, pea soup. The husband's face lights up like I just told him Christmas came early. He grabs his wife's arm. "See, honey, they do have normal food. They just gave it weird names. Weird
Yeah, okay. Oh, yeah, like the one day.
names." Like one day the Dutch language decided to give English words fun little nicknames. Like tosti is just what cheese sandwich calls itself when it's trying to sound exotic. Like we sat in a meeting and said, "You know what? English got right? Food." But you know what they got wrong? Not enough vowels crammed together. Next story, Central Train Station. It's rush hour, and there's about 200 people trying to buy tickets from the machines. I'm walking a group through, and this guy is punching the screen of the ticket machine like it owes him money, just jabbing his finger at it over and over. I walk up and ask if he needs help. He says this thing's glitching. Nothing makes sense. The words are all jumbled up. It's not working right. I look at the screen. It's in Dutch. It opened in Dutch because we're in the Netherlands, and the machine assumes you probably speak Dutch
Speak
if
Dutch.
you're
Yeah.
using it. I tell him you can change it to English, top right corner. He looks at where I'm pointing and sees the little button that says English. He clicks it. The whole screen changes. Everything's in English now. He can read every single word. He turns to me with this look on his face like he just discovered electricity. He says, "Oh, I see. So, this is like a translation feature, like Google Translate built into the machine." I tell him it's the language setting, yes. He nods real slow, like he's processing something very deep and complicated. Then he asks me, why does it start in the other language, though? I tell him because we're in the Netherlands, because Dutch is the main language here, because most people using this machine speak Dutch. He stares at me. Then he looks back at the machine, then back at me. He says, but the machine knows English. Like this is a murder mystery and he just found a major clue that doesn't fit. I tell him, yes, it's bilingual. It speaks both languages. He thinks about this for way too long. Then he says, why wouldn't it just use that? Why wouldn't it just use the language that makes sense? The language that makes sense. He means English. He means why would a Dutch machine in a Dutch train station in a Dutch
In a
country
Dutch
bother
country.
speaking Dutch when it could just speak English instead? And then there's the street signs. Oh
Oh
man,
man.
the street signs. This is where things really fall apart. Woman stops me on Oederziets Voorburgwal.
Ouderzijds Voorburgwal. Ouderzijds Voorburgwal. That's a real street name,
That's
by
a
the way.
real street name, by the way. It means old side front wall. It's been called that since before America was a country. She grabs my arm and says, I think the city's being vandalized. Someone's been messing with the signs at night, putting random letters everywhere, making everything look wrong on purpose. I ask her what she
Oh,
means. She points up at the street sign above us. The big blue sign that says Uderzieds Voorburgwal in clean white letters. Official city sign. Been there for decades. She says someone's been changing these, adding extra letters, mixing everything up, making them impossible to read. I tell her mom that's just how Dutch is spelled. That's the actual name of the street. She looks at me like I just told her the moon is made of cheese. She says, well, who approved that? Who approved the...
who approved that? Oh, man. Arguing about it, not accepting the fact that she is in the Netherlands, and this is who approved? Who approved? Oh, we've seen several of these videos about Americans still living in a bubble. Oh,
Dutch language? Like there's a committee somewhere that signs off on which letters you're allowed to put next to each other. Like someone filled out a form requesting permission to spell things this way, and some manager said, sure, sounds good, let's confuse everyone. Here's what I'm learning after all these stories. Americans don't think other languages exist on purpose. They think languages are accidents.
not all Americans, some Americans. Yeah, it's not generalizing. There are a lot of Americans who really know how it is, but some Americans don't think all the languages exist on purpose. Yeah.
Mistakes that happened a long time ago and nobody ever bothered to fix. They see Dutch words and think someone sneezed while typing English. But it gets so much worse than this. But that's
Okay.
nothing compared to the man who tried to help. The man who thought he was doing us all a favor. This happened at the Anne Frank house on a quiet Thursday morning. We're standing in front of this wall that has a plaque on it. The plaque is in Dutch because it's a Dutch museum in a Dutch city telling a Dutch story. Well, part of it's a Dutch story. It's complicated. But the point is, this plaque has been on this wall for probably 30 years. Professional historians wrote it. Museum experts approved it. Thousands of people read it every single week. This man walks up to me and says, hey, you work here, right? I tell him I'm a guide, yes. He points at the plaque and says someone should really check these things. There's like
Spell check
20
these.
errors just on this one wall alone, maybe more. He's counting them in his head while he talks. I can see his lips moving as he goes through the words. I tell him, sir, that's Dutch. Those aren't errors. That's just how the language works. He looks at me, looks at the plaque, looks back at me. He says, I know it's Dutch, but it's still spelled
I know it's Dutch, but it's still spelled wrong.
wrong. The words aren't real words. They don't follow any rules. Someone just made them up and nobody ever fixed them. I'm trying very hard to stay calm
Yeah.
and professional.
Professional. I would burst out in laughing.
I ask him it's spelled wrong in Dutch. He nods real slow, like he's talking to a child who's not understanding something simple. He says yes, the words aren't real. This man looked at an entire language that millions of people speak every single day and decided it was just English with typos. Like Dutch people have been trying to speak English for 400 years, and we just keep messing it up in the exact same ways over and over. Like, we're all in on this giant mistake together, and nobody's brave enough to admit we've been doing it wrong this whole time. I didn't know what to say to him. I still don't know what I should have said. I just stood there opening and closing my mouth like a fish while he waited for me to thank him for pointing out that my native language was broken. Next story. Woman asked me to translate a sign for her. It's a parking sign that says you can't park here on Tuesdays between 2 and 4. Simple
Okay.
stuff. I translate it. I tell her exactly what it means in clear English. She pulls out her phone, opens Google Translate, takes a picture of the sign, waits for it to load, reads whatever nonsense Google spits out. Then she looks at me and says, Google says something different. I explain that Google Translate isn't perfect, that it makes mistakes all the time, especially with Dutch, because Dutch has words that can mean different things depending on context.
Yeah.
She's not listening. She's reading her phone screen like it's the Bible. She says, "It says you're wrong." Just like that. You're wrong. I take a deep breath. I tell her mom I speak Dutch. I was born here. I learned this language from my mother before I could walk. She shakes her head. She says, yeah, but Google speaks all the languages. Like Google is some kind of all-knowing language god that lives in the internet. I try to explain that I'm a native speaker standing right in front of her in my own country, speaking my own language.
Then his English is very good.
She holds up her phone between us like it's a shield. She says so Google would know. She trusted a phone algorithm over a human being, over someone who's been speaking this language for 28 years. She looked at me and looked at her phone and decided the phone was probably right. And then there's the bakery incident.
Oh, the phone was probably right. Oh, I would run away screaming.
This one makes my head hurt even thinking about it. Guys standing at the counter of this small bakery. The baker is this nice older man who's been making bread in this exact spot for 40 years. The tourist is pointing at different pastries in the case, trying to order. The baker asks him in Dutch, which one do you want? Simple question. Welke wilt u?
Yeah, but if he's a native speaker, this doesn't sound like native. Because this part, welke wilt u, here in my voice, is something different than what he says.
Which one do you want? Simple question. Welke wilt u?
It does not sound native, so he's not a native speaker. Or he's making videos, no. It sounds like it's made by AI or something, because this is not a native. This video tells stories of someone who is a native speaker, but it's not the narrator of this video. It's someone else, because this is, as he pronounced it, not native sounding. Doesn't know that native speaker sounds, no.
The tourist turns to me with this panicked look and says, why isn't he speaking? I tell him he is speaking. He's speaking Dutch. The tourist looks back at the baker like he's trying to find the hidden cameras. He says, yeah, but like actually speaking? Real words. Communication. I'm losing my mind at this point.
Yeah.
I tell him, sir, that is actual speaking. That's real communication. Those are real words. The baker is asking you a question in a real human language.
Okay.
The tourist leans in close and whispers to me, does he not know English? I close my eyes for a second and count to 5 in my head.
5, yeah.
I tell him he does know English. Most Dutch people do. But this is a Dutch bakery in Amsterdam in the Netherlands. The tourist does this long pause thing where I can actually see his brain trying to process information it doesn't want to accept. Then he whispers, then why did they let us in? Why did they let us in?
Why did they let us in?
Like Dutch businesses are museums, like we're supposed to look but not touch. Like we should have a rope across the door that says Americans can observe from a distance, but please don't try to interact with the displays. He thought we built all of this for him to look at. The language, the signs, the bakeries, the people speaking Dutch to each other. He thought it was all set dressing, background noise. He didn't understand that he was the visitor, that he was the one stepping into someone else's world, that maybe, just maybe, the baker didn't let him in. The baker just has a bakery that's open to the public and assumed a customer walking through the door would know how bakeries work.
Yeah, it should be. Oh man. They think it's one giant Disneyland. It's Amsterdam land. You go to Amsterdam land, and those are all fake. It's all tourist attractions. These are um, attractions. So some special thing made for this.
I'm starting to realize something after all these encounters. These people aren't trying to be rude. They're not mean or stupid. They
No,
just
they're not.
genuinely don't understand that they're the visitors here. They think English is the default language of planet Earth and everything else is a regional glitch, a setting that got switched on accident. They don't know languages exist on purpose. With grammar and rules and history and poetry and jokes that only work in that language. They think it's all just English spoken badly by people who never got the memo.
And even English is not the world's most spoken language. So I believe it's the Chinese variant. Oh, yeah.
But the absolute crown jewel of all my stories happened on a canal tour last month. The boat holds about 30 people, and it's one of those perfect Amsterdam days where the sun is hitting the water just right, and the old houses look like something from a painting. I'm doing my normal tour guide thing, talking about the history of the canals, explaining why some houses lean forward, pointing out buildings that are 400 years old. All of this in English, by the way, because I'm not a monster. I'm not going to give a tour in Dutch to a boat full of Americans who don't speak Dutch. There's this
No, of
one
course.
woman who's been quiet the whole time. She's been listening carefully and nodding and taking pictures like everyone else. We're about 40 minutes into the hour-long tour when she raises her hand. Real slow and polite. I tell her, of course, what's your question? She says, quick question. Just a small thing she's been wondering about. I smile and wait because this is my job and I'm good at my job and I love answering questions about Amsterdam.
Oh, oh God! What's gonna be the question?
She asked me, when did Dutch people learn English?
Oh,
I think she's asking about education, so I start explaining that English is taught in schools here, starting when kids are pretty young. Most Dutch people study it for years. We watch a lot of English TV shows and movies. We use it for work and travel. But she interrupts me. She says, no, I mean like originally. When did you guys learn it? Like, way back when? When did the whole country figure it out? I'm confused now. I tell
yeah, me too.
her we didn't learn it originally. English came from Germanic languages, which Dutch is also part of, so we're kind of related, but we didn't learn English from England or America. We've always had our own language. She's shaking her head. She says, right, but when did you switch?
When did you switch? What?
When did Dutch people stop speaking Dutch and start speaking English instead? The whole boat has gone quiet now. Everyone's listening to this conversation. I tell her we didn't switch. We still speak Dutch. Right now, today, every single day. It's our first language. It's what we speak at home and at work and with our families. English is our second language, something we learn later. She's staring at me like I just told her that birds aren't real. Like I've said something so impossible that her brain can't
The brain can't process it.
process it. There's this long pause where nobody moves. The boat is just floating down the canal, making little ripples in the water, and 30 people are holding their breath.
30 people. This from the entire boat, nobody on that boat corrects her as in, my dear, listen, we are nobody. 30 Americans.
Waiting to see what happens next. Then she turns to her husband, grabs his arm. She says, oh my God, they're bilingual. She says it like she just discovered we have superpowers. Like we've all been hiding this incredible secret from the world. She says all of them. The whole country. Everyone here is bilingual. I tell her yes. Yes, we're bilingual. Most Dutch people speak at least 2 languages. A lot of us speak 3 or 4. Her mouth is hanging open now. She looks around the boat at all the other tourists like she needs someone else to confirm this is real. Her husband is just as shocked as she is. He asked me if we had to practice a lot, if it was hard to learn 2 languages at the same time. If our brains work differently than American brains. I tell him it's actually pretty normal. Most of Europe speaks at least 2 languages. Some people speak 4 or 5. His eyes get wider with every number. 4 languages, like at the same time. I tell him yes.
Ooh, at the same time. Then he's thinking, how can they speak 4 languages at the same time? That's not making sense. You can't speak Dutch and German and English at the same time.
Sometimes we switch mid-sentence depending on who we're talking to. He looks like I just told him we can see through walls. His wife asks if we get confused, if we ever accidentally speak Dutch to each other when we mean to speak English.
We accidentally speak Dutch to each other. And again, an entire boat. 30 Americans looking at each other and said, what? They are bilingual?
Mom, we've been doing this our entire lives. We don't accidentally speak Dutch. That's like asking if I ever accidentally breathe. The woman is still amazed. She keeps saying bilingual over and over like it's a magic word. She tells everyone around her that she had no idea, that she thought we just spoke English all the time and only used Dutch for like special occasions or old people or something. She thought Dutch was like Latin, a dead language that exists
that way. Yeah.
in books and museums, but nobody actually uses anymore. Here's what I've learned after 3 years.
Yeah, in that capacity. It's like everyone speaks English, only for the tourists they speak Dutch. No, we don't. We speak Dutch regularly, normally in our everyday life. We speak Dutch, and when necessary, we switch to German or English.
Of doing this job. You don't really understand that your language is just one language until you watch someone discover that fact at age 45. You don't realize how strange it is to think English is just called talking until you meet someone who genuinely believes that. Someone who thinks everyone else in the world is just talking wrong, talking with mistakes, talking with glitches in their speech that need to be fixed.
Yeah. They're talking wrong. It's not English. They don't even know it's not English because they didn't know it was English at the first time. It's just, they say it's wrong. They can't talk.
And honestly, I get it now. I understand how it happens. If you grow up in a place where everyone sounds like you, and all the signs are in your language, and all the TV shows use your words, you might start thinking that's just how human communication works. That your language isn't a language. It's just the normal way people
Yeah. Your language isn't a language. It's,
talk. And everyone else is doing some kind of complicated performance. Some kind of accent or dialect that's interesting but not real. Not real the way your language is real. Remember that woman at the beginning who wanted the English version of the museum? The one who thought we kept a backup building in English? She left me a 5-star review on the tour website. Said I was very patient with the language barrier.
With the language barrier.
Very understanding about the communication difficulties. I speak 4 languages. I've spent my entire adult life learning how to communicate with people from different countries. But sure, I was patient with the language barrier. The barrier that existed because she only spoke one language and expected the entire world to adjust.
And we see this a
So,
lot.
if you're American and you're planning to travel anywhere outside America, I need you to hear this. The letters aren't mixed up. The signs aren't broken. The menus aren't glitching. The people aren't speaking wrong. You're just not in America anymore. You're in a place where a different language makes perfect sense to millions of people who were born there and grew up there and live their whole lives there without ever wondering if English would be easier. Drop a comment if you've ever had to explain your own language to a tourist who thought you were speaking their language incorrectly. I'll be here, reading every single one, wondering how we all survived this long without a universal translator.
Universal translator. Oh, Star Trekky. This is a different kind of living in the American bubble. It's not knowing that there's anything else and not knowing that there are other countries, but expecting, not even expecting, but not realizing that there are other countries and that in other countries are spoken different languages. Just expecting and thinking that there is only one language, and it's not even called English. It's just one language. All people talk the same. Like the universal translator we see in all the Star Trek series, that everyone for every planet, Vulcan and the humans, and I was thinking about I've been alive, but all those speak the same, and by accident it's all English. Yeah. No. Very funny video to read about these anecdotes, but I don't think that that this is no. I would say this is not for all Americans. There are some Americans who still live in a bubble so strong that they do not know that there is another world out there. Oh wow. Well, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, then leave a like. And if you want to see more of my videos, then this is a good place to start with. And otherwise, would be appreciated if you hit the subscribe button. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.